Episode 8.
8. Ocho.
8, 9, 10. Can you count to 10?
That's the only thing I can do in Spanish, to be honest.
Can you go to 20?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
11, 12, 13. I'm shot.
14.
Okay.
15. Quinceañera, you gotta know that.
Yeah.
16.
Now I'm shot.
17. 7. 17. 17. DC is like 10. It's 10 plus 7. 17. 18. That's easy.
So DC 9.
That's 9. So that's
29. 19.
DC 10. Decimal. I think that's what it means. Decimal 10. Decimal 9.
I thought you even speak that good of Spanish.
I do. I speak it really well.
Rolling right now or what?
It's on. It's live.
All right. Let's do it, man. So what's going on? What's up with the gym? What's up with training? How's business?
Dude, it's going good. It's going good. I feel like I'm starting to get a rhythm. School's killing me. I'm excited to be over with it, but I can't wait to be over with it, but I'm excited.
That deadline's coming up, right?
Yeah, it's right around the corner, mid-May.
So what are you going to do with all your free time when you're done with school?
Bro, there's never free time. If it's not one thing, it's the other. I got the baby coming in July. Maybe I pick up some free time to actually train consistently. That
You've been a little sporadic, huh? Just kind of jumping
around. It's been
around.
like that for a long time. I don't put enough time into myself, unfortunately. So I'm hoping I can get a little bit more of that when school's over.
Got to, man. Do you prefer training in the mornings or evenings?
That's funny. I feel like I'm more equipped in the afternoons, but nothing feels better than getting a workout in the morning and not having to worry about it. You know what I mean? So I think it gives me some energy midday when I work out in the morning. But it's really hard to get myself mentally going, getting my body ready, because I told you I'm lazy. I don't like to warm up and stuff. So unless it's in a group class, it's hard. It's really hard for me to get going in the morning.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel tight kind of from, lounging around in bed all night, just getting up, getting moving. The joints feel a little more stiff in the morning as opposed to later in the evening when you're moving around all day, doing whatnot. You're a little more limber.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So I think they both have their pros and cons, especially competition. I mean, going into that, like certain sports require you to be at your best in the morning. Some can do that at night. Some are sporadic, right? You think like National Football League, you got a Saturday game. You got a Sunday game. Now you got Wednesday night or Thursday night, and now you got Monday Night Football. And so, they got to be ready for anything and everything.
Yeah, some sort of type of training is better than no type of training. We can agree to that.
100%.
Yeah, my training's been pretty good lately, man. I'm trying to, stay healthy, practice some weaknesses, because I think it's a good segue to our topic of the day, which is the CrossFit Open, man. It kind of just changes the motivation, not just with me, but around the gym, around everybody else that's involved with CrossFit. Yeah,
this is always a really exciting time of the year, not just from, the landscape of CrossFit, but even in our own community. We start to draw on that excitement of competition and the purpose of that. And it's just really neat to watch. It's really hard to really understand. Like, here's an example. Last year, 380,000 people registered for the Open. And do you know how many athletes actually went to the games to compete at the national level, the stuff we saw on ESPN?
How many?
150 male and 50 female athletes. I did the math on that. That's to make it to that level is 0.0002% of the registered market. Those are people that actually paid the $20 fee to register for the Open. We know that there are thousands of other people that are doing those workouts and not paying for it. So it's a very humbling to see how this process works to even get to that level, because I know a lot of people appreciate what they see on TV, but they don't even understand what it takes to get there.
Yeah, and also that's a good point. I think it's safe to say that you don't have to be a games athlete to participate in the Open. It's it's for everybody. We've been encouraging all week to get many of our members to try to do it, just because basically at the end of the day, it's the opportunity to test your level of fitness.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get concerned initially, and CrossFit has done a really good job these last couple of years to ensure to the community that the Open actually is for everyone. because they're creating divisions, just like we would in our regular group classes, because the general concern is either there's a fear of competition, right? They don't want to compete with somebody that's judging them or competing in that group atmosphere, which we do in a group class every single day.
Yeah, right.
Or the fear of not being able to do a certain movement, and so we got to get through with our athletes and break through those two conversations with them.
Yeah, no, I think we've been doing a good job pushing it. Put yourself out there a little bit. Enter a competition. Chances are you'll be so surprised of the elevation in your game and your training that committing to the Open will do for you.
Yeah, and it gives a lot of purpose. Like, listen, there's many reasons people come to our facility to train, but one of the exciting things we can do while in that process is to compete in the Open, because it's something we're already naturally doing. So it's not like they have to spend a year doing it. They're literally doing this already.
Yeah, I feel like they're way more well-equipped than they give themselves credit for it. And at the end of the day, competition is a part of CrossFit, and we obviously we both took our L1s, but, during the L1, they require you to do a workout, with the rest of the group as a competition setting, whether it's a 21-15-9 theme, 4 time as fast as you can. They give you that sense of a competition feel to prepare you. Like, it's part of CrossFit. You're doing it every day in a group class.
Yeah, and I think what they try to show there is how powerful that group atmosphere can be internally and externally as a motivator to push yourselves harder than you ever have.
Yeah. Go ahead. Were you saying something?
No, and I think that's why they push that on day one at the L1. That's why we endorse group classes as our main business model, because we know the powerful effect it has on people.
Yeah, competition is a good thing, whether it's friendly competition, internal competition between you and yourself, just trying to get a little bit better than you were yesterday, or, with your friends, with your buddies, with your other class members. During the class we did Tuesday, it was teams of 3. It was max double unders in 10 minutes. I turned to one of the members that's in my group, and I said, hey, listen, let's go 30 double unders. If we go unbroken, that's a point. That's a point for me. If you go unbroken, that's a point for you. And we did that the full 10 minutes.
Nice. That's really good.
And we went from kind of messing up a little bit in the beginning of that to once we established, hey, let's have a little bit of competition, we didn't break.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like a little bit of friendly competition, goes a long way. It'll make you better in the long run.
Right, and that's the application of competition, is that, it's to help us understand ourselves better, and the only way to do it is to it's the pressurizer, right? It's like the pressure that turns coals into diamonds. Like, we would not know what we're made of unless we put ourselves in that atmosphere.
Yeah, sometimes it gets you a little uncomfortable, and the biggest saying is when you're doing stuff that makes you a little uncomfortable, you're getting better. You're elevating your game.
Yeah, and you said it. What's unique about internal and external competition is that they happen simultaneously, right? Like, when you were doing that competition, that friendly competition, you were internally motivated to go unbroken. You were internally motivated, and that had a benefit externally, which was like you weren't going to have to do, or you were going to get more points than him ultimately, and win overall. So, I think both of them has benefits to them. Ultimately, people do not go in there to compete externally. People come into our facility because they want results. They're looking to get stronger. They're looking to lose weight. So there's an internal motivation they have. But the unique part about it is that external motivation that they get in the group atmosphere has a twofold effect.
That's a deep concept, man. That's a really good way to put it. They're signing up for the gym to get, obviously, to lose weight, to build muscle, to develop a better version of themselves. Okay, and that's where that internal part comes in. And then, just like you said, in return, the power of the group class competition is forcing them to elevate their game, in return getting better than where they started.
Yeah, and I think what the group model did is it just took what was successful in team competition, right? Because, really, a lot of the stuff we do, we're competing from a fitness perspective, like who can lift the most, how many rounds can somebody compete. But really in sport, in sport, that's where true competition happens, because it's not as pretty as, 21-15-9 or 20 round ANRAPs with 10 reps apiece. Like, no, it's not as linear, right? And that's the pure essence of competition. And so we took that really successful model of what competition can do to challenge people, and we just brought it in a group setting where really fitness is a really controlled environment when in comparison to a sport arena.
Yeah. I think the model is genius. The group model, it's making it a team effort. It's bringing all like-minded individuals together, and that's why they call CrossFit the sport of fitness.
Yeah, and I think that's why other programs have mimicked that. I mean, you look at some of the most popular fitness programs now, and they're all done in a group setting, and I think CrossFit did a really good job of putting that together in a way that we could get the best of both worlds. And that was, we took that personal training aspect, which was like good quality movement, give them a program that we know can produce results, but capture the essence of that atmosphere that you can only get in a group. I mean, that's really the most amazing part that people get out of the Open is like, wow, there was an energy there that I have not experienced in a really long time. I pushed myself harder than I ever have in a really long time because of what was happening in that moment.
Yeah, and it's safe to say me and you are pretty advanced athletes. We're doing the Open for some different reasons than your normal general population that's might be fairly new or whatever, and they're just trying to test your level of fitness. But we're kind of going into this with a different mindset, different goals. I think it's a good time to talk about the comparison of people that are more advanced, that are decent athletes, that have been in the game for a little bit, that move pretty elite level, and then the fairly new people.
Yeah, for us, we love competition. I think it's why we fell in love with CrossFit. I think it's why we fell in love with training, is that competition pushed us and it energized us, right? Those moments we know separate us from everybody else. It's why we're highly driven people. It's why we like to compete. It's why we want to start businesses and we want to push ourselves to the next level, because we're trying to push ourselves as high as we ever can. The general pop, they're uncomfortable with that feeling because it's we have the same sense, like it's not any more comfortable for us. We just accept that's part of the process. And so for the general pop, they really, really struggle with that because there is an anxiety that they get when we mention the term competition.
Yeah,
right?
Some don't know what to expect. We got a better idea what to expect, so it's kind of up to us to kind of tell our members that are fairly new into it what to expect. But I kind of want to challenge you a little bit and take you back in time. Leading up to the Open this year is definitely going to be different from you maybe 5 years ago when you first. I know you were training pretty heavily. You were really into CrossFit. You weren't married with a kid, right? Mm-hmm. What are some comparisons on what you did leading up to the Open back then to what you got going on now? The family man, the full-time business, and you obviously got a son. What was it like before when you were really kind of in the grind of training competitively?
Wow, I appreciate that question. That's a deep one. I think I've matured a lot as an athlete and as an individual where, 5 years ago, I was putting in 3-4 hours a day. I had a special coach who was sending me programming. I traveled to Miami to do the Open workouts.
You do a camp or anything like that?
When I'd meet with the coach, it kind of had the sense of the camp because it was all his personal athletes coming together to strategize WODs and what we were expecting, and there's a lot of communication back and forth there. I, as a younger individual, I put a lot of pressure on myself for no reason. There was no reason, looking back, that I had to do that because really I fell in love with it because, I did what I did so much because I fell in love with it. I just really genuinely loved it. And what happened over time is by training that hard and losing that essence that I had, I lost a little bit of that love that now...
Almost a little burnt out.
It was definitely burnt out. It was burnt out. It was overworked. It was the putting myself this stress that was self-imposed on myself for no reason, where now I take it in as a really cool experience. I enjoy it. I do not put that pressure on myself. It's a different experience. Now, I still hold myself to a high standard. You better believe when you see me there on Saturdays,
You give it your all,
I'm
baby.
going to try to win every single competition. But it's a different sense of competition, right? It's a different sense for sure.
And I hear you. You kind of sitting back, enjoying the moment a little bit more without that, additional pressure you kind of gave yourself, back in the day.
Yeah, my joke is like, if you ain't getting paid to do this, then man, you better have fun doing it, because there's some people that are training so hard, God bless them, but they
don't stand a chance.
They don't stand a chance. They're not having fun, and I'm like, dude, like, have fun, man. You're paying us to do this. Like, don't make this thing a job. And so that was probably one of the biggest perspectives that I have is like, so when we see people on Saturday, I want to make sure that
keep
at the end
it
of
fun.
it, hey, I'm gonna say, did you have fun? Was it a good time? That's awesome, man. I can't wait to see you next weekend for sure.
Yeah, that's the overall purpose of doing it is have a little bit of fun with it. We're not trying to, go at each other's throats. We're trying to have fun, have a good time, get everyone out there and take the fitness to the next level.
Yeah. What was your experience last year? I'm interested. This is my 8th Open.
No, last year it was good, man. I enjoyed it. I hit a couple PRs. It was safe to say I wasn't ready for it, but I made the goal just to go ahead and do it anyways. And it was awesome. It was a good time. I narrowed down some weaknesses I needed to work on. So leading up to it, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of taking the same approach this year. I'm focusing on what I'm bad at and kind of just putting in a little extra time on getting better at that. To if it comes around on that Thursday reveal, like I'm a little bit more prepared. Now, if I'm say it's 3-5 months ago, I'm kind of just training for general health, general fitness. I don't have the same assertiveness to the point where I'm training towards the Open. But yeah, last year went great. I think we'll have a nice turnout again this year, and I'm excited for it.
You make a really good point, and that's, you said, in competition, you learn some weaknesses about yourself. And there's a really popular quote right now in competition, about competition, that it says, there's no such thing as losing. You either win or you learn. And what came out was that you won. Your success was competing, but like every weekend, you learned something more about yourself that you were able to take back to the drawing board. And that's the pure essence of competition for me, is that, like, what is the ultimate goal of the Open for the most elite athletes there? It is to
win the games.
It is to win the games by hopefully not being by hopefully training as good as you possibly can, as well-rounded as you can, that you have the least amount of weaknesses, right? Because if you think about it, the CrossFit Games winner is the athlete that on that weekend, on those 4 or 5 days that they do 15 workouts, I think it's up to now, that they have the least amount of weaknesses. Like Matt Frazier, I don't think he won one of the events last year, but on average, he was the weakest athlete, meaning on average, I think his lowest score was he took one terrible event, but his other scores were top 10. Like, really, that's, to me, the essence of competition. Like, when I wrestled, it was, like, I came out, I did really well, I placed on the podium, but it was like, on practice on Monday, it was time to say, hey, listen, I got caught up in that one position, I got to make sure that doesn't happen again, and I drilled and I drilled and I drilled it again, over and over, until hopefully the following weekend I didn't get caught in the same position.
Yeah, it's a form of accountability within yourself when you know there's a deadline coming up, a competition coming up. You have two choices. You have the choice to work on your weakness, get better, minimize the weaknesses, or go into it without working on your weaknesses and just pray for the best and hope you don't get any movement or something you're not as good at on the workout. And 9 times out of 10, if you have the opportunity to work and get better and minimize your weaknesses, you're going to do it.
That's powerful. And I think when we talked about one of the distinctions between an advanced athlete and, our general pop, is that the general pop will beat themselves up so bad that they walk out defeated, where the advanced athlete, someone who's just competed for many, many years, takes that as opportunity to get better. They ask questions. They're following with feedback with the coaches, versus just like making a terrible excuse why they didn't do that well, why they can't snatch a certain weight, why they can't do pull-ups, why they can't do a certain height of box jumps. They make excuses. The mature athlete is going to be able to take personal accountability for that and follow through on making it better.
Now they know what they have to work on, so they don't end up in the same situation in the future.
Yeah, I mean, what's insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, like
expecting a different result.
Yeah, we don't want insane athletes. We want athletes that are maturing through the process of training. That's training. Training is the process of getting better. And that's all we're trying to do in our group classes. We define that as training because we have a program that's well-rounded and that, has, a lot of energy with all our coaches being put in to produce the most well-rounded fitness program as possible. That's the process of trying to get these athletes better.
Yeah, and then, maybe bombing out during a open workout with, a movement that you're not so good at, that might hit you a little bit harder than, a regular group class. If you perform the workout and there's a movement that you are completely terrible at and you don't have that good of a score, and the reason is because you were terrible at that movement, that's going to hit a little bit harder. That's going to get you more assertive to try to correct that. Hey, I'm not that good at pull-ups, and I didn't really notice it until I got the worst time just because I wasn't able to do it. Or, hey, my mobility is not good, so the snatches in the open workout really crushed my time. You might not get that same effect in a regular class because it doesn't mean as much. You're getting a little more purpose doing a competition workout.
Yeah, it definitely raises the stakes. But we say that, in our group classes, sometimes we're running circles because there's really no end-all, be-all. We're looking for body composition changes. But competition, puts, a seriousness. It puts a date on the calendar, and it fixes our current abilities to a future date, and that gap in between is the opportunity for growth.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's like I was encouraging people that I knew wanted to do the open, hey, sign up for it in advance, and pay. Pay so you have some skin in the game. Once you have some skin in the game, meaning you talk about this all the time, you're going to do more working towards that because you don't have a choice. You commit, okay, you register. Now it's you either do it or you show up on, game day, so to speak, and you just plummet. You don't do as well as you could have if you put in the work in advance.
Yeah, there's nothing that shows me more than someone serious than them actually registering for the open. It says 110% they're serious, and until they do that, actions speak louder than words. Until they do that, it's always just kind of like they hope to do it someday. They use every opportunity to dodge those conversations with us, to ignore the emails we're putting out. The open is not the end-all be-all. If it's not this competition, what will your next competition be? What purpose will you have here if you're not putting something out there, if you're not putting yourself out there? And I don't think the open, I don't believe 100% of our membership is going to sign up for the open. That's not everyone's cup of tea, but everyone should compete at something at one point every single year.
Yeah, it's a way different story on saying, hey, one of these days I want to do a competition, a CrossFit competition. It's a completely different story to when you're actually registered. Then you're like, hey, I'm doing this. It's a difference between, hey, I kind of want to compete one day to I'm registered, I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, and we were talking about that earlier. It doesn't even have to be a fitness. We obviously talk about competition from the fitness perspective because we consume so much time to that. But there's other ways you can force yourself to compete with yourself that has nothing to do with fitness.
Yeah, it's just about elevating your game. There's plenty of ways out there just to kind of pick something specific, something to work towards, a goal, a deadline. The CrossFit Open is a date on the calendar. It starts February 22nd. But you can pick something like, hey, you know what? I want to go on a vacation. I'm going to go on a cruise. I want to get ripped up because I'm going to get a bathing suit. You're working towards that goal just as much as it's like you said, it's a competition within yourself to get better and be ready for that date.
For sure. And if your skin in the game is I'm paying for this vacation, and I want to look a certain way before that. why not? Why is that not competition? That's just as much competition as the individual showing up for the next 5 weeks for the Open. 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's another kind of fitness comparison. I got a good one that's nothing to do with fitness. It's a you're picking to get a new some sort of certification. Whether it's with you're certified for something, or you take a test. You're taking a test. You sign up, even if you're straight out of high school, you sign up for the SAT, ACT. You're going to study for that, or it's just that date. It doesn't matter what the heck it is, but what matters is you're committing to that date. So you're going to put in the work in advance to get ready for that specific date.
Yeah, it's really good. Call it competition of the mind, right? It's like you're not physically like competing with your body, but you're competing with your mind. Like, this is a test that I might fail, but I'm going to challenge myself by studying. Yeah, that's definitely a form of competition for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited, dude. I think that, more than anything, it's like Valentine's Day. Like, the Open to me is like Valentine's Day. All it is a reminder of, like, Valentine's Day is a reminder to show love to people that are significant in your life. The Open is a reminder of how important competition is, right? And we get that. The beauty of this coming up every year is, like, nobody can hide from this conversation because we're going to have it every single year.
I love that, man. I love that. That's a great point.
Cool, man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm really stoked about beating Brett at the Open this Saturday.
It depends what, man. It depends on what.
Bro, stop playing, bro. You're a gimp. We're both half gimps. We joked the other day, if like you took my back and I took your leanness, dog, we'd be looking
We'll be the ultimate athlete.
It will be the top 0.0002%.
We'd be the ultimate athlete. Nah, it'll be fun, But just a couple quick takeaways, man. Hey, guys, we just encourage you to kind of put yourself out there, pick something, work towards something, give yourself that deadline, and get better in the process.
Yeah, and believe in yourself. Like, no one's going to believe in yourself more than you. Like, you have to give yourself the opportunity to believe in yourself, because the beauty of that is you're never going to have to seek that affirmation from other people when you have that confidence that you're building in yourself, and competition is the best way to do that.
I was just going to say, it's a gain of confidence. Stay confident within your ability, within what you can do, and have fun doing it.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you.
Later, guys.